Atlantic Ocean is not just water between continents. It is a living force that has shaped civilizations, guided explorers, and rewritten the boundaries of the known world for thousands of years. Long before maps were drawn, the Atlantic was already moving history. Its currents carried life, storms, and destiny across the planet. This ocean separates worlds, yet connects them. Europe, Africa, the Americas, bound together by a restless sea. For centuries, sailors feared these waters. Unpredictable winds, towering waves, and storms that appeared without warning. Yet fear did not stop humanity. The Atlantic became the highway of exploration. Wooden ships once crossed these waters with nothing but stars and courage. Many never returned. The Atlantic witnessed triumph and tragedy alike. Empires rose and collapsed upon its tides. It carried trade, culture, and conflict. It also carried suffering across continents. But the Atlantic is not frozen in the past. It is alive, changing every second. Beneath the surface lies a hidden world, a realm deeper, darker, and more mysterious than space. Long before maps were drawn and borders were imagined, the Atlantic Ocean already existed as a vast, moving system of currents, storms, and deep, unseen forces. It is an ocean born from the slow tearing of continents, a reminder that the Earth itself is never truly still. Stretching from the icy waters of the Arctic to the storm-driven seas of the Southern Ocean, the Atlantic connects worlds that once felt impossibly far apart. It separates continents, yet has always pulled them toward each other, acting as both barrier and bridge throughout human history. Beneath its surface lies a world that remains largely unexplored. Mountains taller than those on land, valleys deeper than the Grand Canyon, and ecosystems that survive in total darkness under crushing pressure. The Atlantic is never calm for long. Storm systems are born here, gaining strength as they move across warm currents. Hurricanes, cyclones, and powerful winds reshape coastlines, reminding us that this ocean is not passive, it is alive. Yet the same ocean that destroys also sustains. The Atlantic regulates climate, moves heat across the planet, and supports marine life on a scale that feeds hundreds of millions of people. Beneath the Atlantic's restless surface lies a world almost completely unknown, a realm of darkness, pressure, and silence where sunlight never reaches, and where the rules of life are rewritten by the deep. The Atlantic Ocean is home to some of the deepest places on Earth. Vast underwater trenches carved by tectonic forces, where pressure can crush steel and temperatures approach freezing. Far below, entire mountain ranges stretch across the ocean floor. The mid-Atlantic ridge runs like a scar through the heart of the ocean, where continents slowly drift apart, millimeter by millimeter. This invisible backbone of the Atlantic is alive. Magma rises from deep within the Earth, creating new ocean floor, reshaping the planet in movements too slow for human eyes to see. The Atlantic is not only deep, it is powerful. Its currents move heat, energy, and life across the globe, acting as a massive engine that helps regulate Earth's climate. One of these currents, the Gulf Stream, carries warm water northward, softening climates, shaping coastlines, and influencing weather systems thousands of kilometers away. Without the Atlantic's currents, the world we know would be unrecognizable. Deserts would expand, ice would advance, and entire ecosystems would collapse. Storms are born here. Vast systems of wind and water gather strength over open ocean before unleashing their force upon distant shores. Hurricanes, cyclones, and massive swells remind us of a simple truth. The Atlantic does not belong to us. We exist at its mercy. The Atlantic Ocean is never still. Even on calm days, massive forces are constantly moving beneath the surface, shifting heat, energy, and life across the planet. These moving waters form powerful ocean currents, invisible highways that connect continents and control global climate.
Turbulent water.
One of the most important is the Gulf Stream, carrying warm tropical water northward, shaping weather across Europe and North America. Without these currents, entire regions would be colder, drier, and far less hospitable to human life. But the Atlantic does not only give life. At times it unleashes immense power. Every year, warm Atlantic waters fuel massive storms that can stretch hundreds of kilometers across. Hurricanes are born here, drawing strength from heat stored in the ocean, growing more powerful as they move.
Mesmerizing yet terrifying display of nature's raw power.
From above, the Atlantic can look endless and calm. But beneath that surface, it is always alive, always moving, always shaping the world. Beneath the calm surface, the Atlantic hides immense power. This is an ocean driven by energy, heat from the equator, cold from the poles, and winds that never truly rest. When these forces collide, the Atlantic reminds the world that it is never fully tame. Storms born in the Atlantic have rewritten coastlines, sunk fleets, and tested entire nations. Hurricanes gather strength over warm water, spiraling outward like living machines, fueled by heat and motion. From space, they look elegant. From the sea, they are unstoppable. For sailors, the Atlantic has always been both a path and a gamble. Winds that carried explorers forward could just as easily turn against them. Every crossing was an agreement with uncertainty. Yet life thrives here in astonishing abundance. Cold, nutrient-rich currents rise from the depths, feeding plankton blooms that support entire food chains. From the smallest organisms to the largest animals ever to exist, the Atlantic is alive. Whales move through these waters like living continents. Their migrations span entire oceans, guided by instinct older than civilization itself. Each journey connects distant worlds beneath the waves. The Atlantic is not static. It breathes, shifts, and reshapes the planet in ways we barely notice, regulating climate, moving heat, and sustaining life far beyond its shores. What happens here echoes across continents. Even today, satellites watch the Atlantic closely. Its temperature shifts can signal droughts, floods, and storms thousands of kilometers away. This ocean is a silent architect of the modern world. To stand above the Atlantic is to witness scale beyond human design. No borders, no ownership, only motion, depth, and time. An ocean that existed long before us and will remain long after. Beneath the Atlantic's restless surface lies a world almost completely unknown, a realm of darkness, pressure, and silence, deeper than any mountain is tall. Here, sunlight fades, temperature collapses, and life adapts in ways that feel alien. The deep Atlantic is not empty. It is alive, ancient, and unforgiving. Somewhere below, the ocean floor stretches across thousands of kilometers, a landscape shaped by tectonic forces, volcanic eruptions, and slow-moving currents. Massive underwater mountains rise unseen, while trenches plunge into crushing depths. This hidden geography controls the movement of oceans and the climate of the planet itself. The Atlantic is a highway of invisible rivers. Powerful currents flow beneath the surface, transporting heat, nutrients, and energy across the globe. The Gulf Stream alone shapes weather from the Caribbean to Northern Europe. Without these currents, entire regions would freeze or burn. Storms are born here. When warm and cold waters collide, the Atlantic releases its stored energy. Hurricanes gather strength over thousands of kilometers, spinning faster with every hour. What begins as a disturbance can become a force capable of reshaping coastlines. Yet despite its violence, the Atlantic is also a source of life. Plankton blooms shimmer beneath the surface, feeding creatures both massive and microscopic. From whales that cross entire oceans to fragile ecosystems drifting with the currents, the Atlantic sustains life on a planetary scale.
The ocean, vast and unending, awakens with the rising sun.
Beneath the Atlantic's endless surface lies a world almost entirely unseen, a realm of crushing pressure, eternal darkness, and landscapes more alien than any desert or mountain on land. Here, light disappears within minutes, sound travels in strange ways, and life adapts not to comfort, but to survival itself. The Atlantic Ocean holds some of the deepest trenches on Earth, places where the seafloor collapses into vast scars, carved by tectonic forces over millions of years. Down there, the ocean floor is not flat, but torn, folded, and alive with geological tension. Cold currents move silently through the Atlantic like invisible rivers. They transport heat, nutrients, and life across entire hemispheres, regulating climates thousands of kilometers away. Without these currents, much of the world as we know it would be unrecognizable. The Atlantic is not calm by nature. Storms are born here, growing from whispers of wind into rotating giants of water and air. Hurricanes draw their strength from warm Atlantic waters, reshaping coastlines and rewriting human history in a single night. Yet even in its violence, the Atlantic sustains life on a massive scale. Phytoplankton drift unseen beneath the surface, producing oxygen and forming the base of an entire oceanic food web. Every breath we take is connected, in part, to these microscopic lives. From whales that migrate across entire oceans to fish that navigate using Earth's magnetic field, the Atlantic is not just a barrier between lands. It is a highway of life, an ancient route followed long before humans ever learned to sail. Beneath the surface of the Atlantic lies a world almost completely unknown, a realm of darkness, crushing pressure, and silence so deep it feels eternal. Here, sunlight disappears within minutes, and the ocean becomes something else entirely. As depth increases, pressure builds to levels unimaginable on land. Metal bends, glass shatters, yet life survives, strange, fragile, and alien in form. The Atlantic holds some of the deepest trenches on Earth, places where the seafloor drops suddenly as if the planet itself cracked open. These chasms have barely been explored, mapped more by imagination than certainty. Even today, humans know more about the surface of the moon than the depths of the Atlantic. Sonar images hint at mountains, valleys, and ridges hidden far below, an unseen landscape as vast as continents. The deeper you go, the stranger life becomes. Creatures that glow in total darkness, forms shaped not by beauty, but by survival. In this abyss, time feels different. Currents move slowly. Change happens over centuries, not moments. The Atlantic is not empty beneath the waves. It is simply hidden, patient, ancient, and vast beyond comprehension. Beneath the surface of the Atlantic Ocean lies a world almost entirely unseen. A realm of crushing pressure, eternal darkness, and landscapes more extreme than any desert or mountain range on land. Here the ocean floor drops away into vast abyssal plains, stretching thousands of kilometers in silent darkness. Mountains rise from the seabed, taller than skyscrapers, yet never touched by sunlight. Far below, massive trenches carve scars into the Earth's crust. These are places where tectonic plates collide, where continents once tore apart, giving birth to the Atlantic itself. In these depths, life adapts in ways that defy imagination. Creatures glow in the dark, produce their own light, and survive where pressure would crush a steel. This hidden world plays a silent but essential role in life above. Deep currents move heat, oxygen, and nutrients across entire hemispheres. The Atlantic breathes through these depths, regulating climate, shaping weather, and sustaining ecosystems far beyond its shores. What happens here, far below the waves, affects every continent that touches this ocean. The Atlantic is calm only when it chooses to be. Here, storms are born with terrifying power, growing as they cross warm currents and collide with cold air. Hurricanes, cyclones, and endless waves remind us that this ocean is never truly at rest. For centuries, humans have challenged the Atlantic. Trade routes cut across its vastness, carrying empires, cultures, and conflicts. Every ship that crosses these waters follows paths carved by history, courage, and loss. Below the waves, sunlight fades into darkness. Pressure increases, temperature drops. Yet life thrives here in forms stranger than imagination, untouched by time, unseen by most of humanity. The Atlantic shapes continents like a sculptor with infinite patience. Cliffs collapse, beaches shift. Every coastline is a negotiation between land and sea, constantly rewritten by tides and storms. Invisible rivers flow within the Atlantic, currents that regulate climate, move heat across the planet, and decide where life can exist. Without them, Earth would be unrecognizable. As the sun sinks below the horizon, the Atlantic remains ancient, restless, eternal. It does not belong to us. We merely pass over its surface, leaving nothing behind.